I'm 82 years old now, and I'm not haunted by pictures of it, but I'm haunted by experiences that I didn't have, that I can't relate to. Life with my family, the sound of my parents' voices. I remember their faces. Somebody just asked me that recently. But not the sound of their voices, not recollections of experiences that we shared, because basically after age 7, I didn't have any experience with them. And between the ages of 3 and 7, I had gone into hiding, and we had left Germany in a hurry, and it was upheaval.
It was hard, it was very difficult, but the not the problem. You cannot see in the ghetto people dead from hunger, starving on the streets. So that is the main, not the main source of suffering. The main source of suffering in ghetto, and to wait every day, wait to be killed, because there is no safe place for Jews in the ghetto. Just to wait as everybody else. Wait what? Wait to be killed. So the survivors from the ghetto, they survive only by tiny minority of righteous people, but this is like 0.001% of all the population.
I was born in 1937. I was a kid, and everything was for me as a game. When World War II started, we moved to Uzbekistan, Tashkent. It was hard time, starvation, but we survived. When military passed us, we asked for a piece of bread, and then it gave us a piece of bread because it was starvation. Then we moved by train, and German plane bombed us, and some people got killed in our train, some are still alive. Starvation, that's more important part.
I'm Raisa Husid, born in Leningrad, May 9, 1941. I was born weak, 2 months before the war began. There were no extras in any of the homes because at that time, people didn't have that option. A problem began with food, what to eat, and how to live further. Since the problem was with food, when it rained and the worms came out, that's how they tried to feed me. My mother tried to give everything she could for food, but there was no food, and my 18-year-old brother began to die of starvation. Everyone was weak. Before my brother's death, he had time to cover my mother and I into one blanket. He then laid on the couch, and over a period of time, he died. Someone walked into our apartment, saw that both my mother, brother, and I were wrapped in a blanket, and assumed that we were all dead. They took us out and placed us on a hill of dead bodies. My mother and I were there long, about 12 hours or so. When they began to transport the dead bodies, someone discovered that we were still warm. They revived us, and thank God I'm still alive. Life was hard, but it was better than to die or to be in a concentration camp.
Мы были эвакуированы. Мы там, конечно, не
We were evacuated into a city where they didn't like or accept people like us. We were placed into a home, but the family wasn't too pleased about us. And I was born there that January, the first year of the war. Overall, we were starving. The only thing that helped was my mother donating her blood. In return, she received turnips and carrots. That was the main source of my nutrition. What else can I say? Life wasn't simple, especially my early childhood. And yes, there were bombings as well, and people were forced to run away with their children. For my faith to be as bad as others, that I cannot say. My name is Valery. Last name is Kabalkin. I came from the Republic of Ukraine, that back then was part of the Soviet Union, from the city Kherson. On June 22, 1941, the war began. It was a scary war. The city of Kherson was captured on August 20th, 1941. We evacuated the city in the month of June. I was young. I was born in 1939. I was exactly 2 years old. My mother told me how we had escaped. Those were inhumane days. First, we traveled by ship. Then, we were put into cargo trains. We reached another republic. It was the Republic of Uzbekistan, back in the Soviet Union. We lived there until 1945. In August, Kherson was free and we returned to our city. Our city was destroyed. That I remember. I was about 6 years old, and I remember going back to the city I was born in. It was gone. With the help of the adults, they began to restore my city. Thank you to this country for taking us in. I was born in Donetsk in 1940. In 1941, the war began. The Germans were approaching Donetsk. They were about 7 kilometers away from the city. Back then, there were no trains. We rode on horses to the nearest train tracks we could find. Those weren't cargo trains. Those trains were meant to carry animals. But at that time, it was used to transport people. The war had finally come to an end in 1945. And when my city of Donetsk was free, our family came back. I was young. I was 5 years old. My sister was 4. Our life was really hard. Very hard. The Germans were killing all Jews. All of the Jewish people, those who could at least, evacuated. Germans were killing Jews even back in Germany. When it was time, we were happy to return to a city destroyed by the Germans. Totally destroyed, but happy. Prior to the war, I lived in Belarus. How we evacuated? Very hard to say. All I know is that several of times we ended up in a cargo train. When the Germans were bombing, we hid in a large field of corn. Where this happened, I don't remember, but it was on the way to shelter from Belarus. My name is Vera Klibanova. I was born in December of 1941. Since the war began in June, our parents knew we had to run from the city known as Stalin's city.
Холокост называется потому, что во время войны погибло в концлагерях Германии.
The Holocaust is called that because during the war, the amount of people who died in concentration camps or were killed by Germans was about 6 million people. The majority of people killed were the Jewish people. They ended up in camps, and that's where they were killed. You always remember and never forget about it.
Не забывается, вспоминается ежегодно.
In 1946, we returned to our home city, and it was being restored from ruins. Never forget about the Holocaust that murdered 6 million people.